welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Well, he is no stranger to our station, and I know you've seen him on the air too. He's also a graduate of McCaskey High School, Millersville University, and he is truly a living, breathing miracle. Ethan Poetic, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. Well, you just wrote this magnificent, inspirational book, which is really a story of your life, and you are this miracle. For those who might not be familiar, what led you to this and what happened in your life is a big turning point. Can you briefly tell us about that?
I was involved in a near-fatal car accident. I had a 99% chance of death versus 1% chance of life, and the odds were stacked against me. And I became a walking living miracle through an emergency surgery, and the road to recovery was a long journey. And here I am, a two-time college graduate and inspiring people across this world. What led me to write this inspirational piece was from the Veronis family, such as Nico, George, and others. I had passed the spring semester of 2020 college. We were in the back, and one person mentioned, Ethan should write an autobiography. And then it became a second notion, a third notion. And then from there, I actually didn't want to do it because I wasn't ready to be vulnerable. Then they told me, Ethan, your story's already out there. It's just a matter of you telling your story and what led to the journey of crossing the finish line and achieving greatness.
Absolutely. And coming from you and your words is what's key. So one of the things that you were doing, even when you worked here at the station for a while, you were writing some poetry, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, tell me about that. What was the inspiration for all of that?
Well, I had the poetry into it because I wanted to show a different side of me. Because when I originally wrote the poetry, songs, and other speeches, it was just more done privately. But once I stepped outside my comfort zone with actually speaking these poems and speaking my own speeches, and of course go to the credit union and get it notarized.
Right.
But more importantly, it's about showing there's literature in the book, and it also can relate to the kids on my journey with poetry. Cause I understand there's the poetry path here at Lancaster, there's also poetry slam, and ultimately I want to make sure people understand that there's more to life than just reading just my autobiography, because there's some parts that you're going to understand that's much deeper.
Yeah, it is. And you putting all of this together, how long did this take you to put this together, Ethan?
About a year and a half with a combination of doing it while COVID was going on.
Okay.
Work, and of course crossing the finish line for college.
Right.
So there was a lot of downtime in between. And ultimately there was help from other people like Trinity Summerall, a graduate of Hemphill High School. Now she's a teacher at Reynolds Middle School and the boys basketball coach. And there's also other people that helped out more behind the scenes with the book cover design and other editors along the way. What stands out about my book is that instead of just having one foreword or two, I have multiple forewords.
Well, you brought together a team.
Yes.
Essentially, right? Wasn't it a team?
Yes, it takes, as they always say, the team works when the dream works. And ultimately, it's a matter of just, I want to allow other people to have a voice into it, not just me, with the forewords, because these are relationships that I hold near and dear in my heart, in my life, and also some people that I connected with through Ancestry.com.
Yeah. And these are things that happened in your life as a result of what your journey has been, what led you in this different trajectory, right?
Yes, it has. Because in order to achieve greatness and success, you have to be willing to stand out, be yourself, and know your purpose in life. And I used to be a former student athlete for J.P. McCaskey High School, where I played football, wrestling, and track and field. And I transitioned to being a college graduate, and that made a lot of my coaches very proud, because as sports relates to the game of life, you have to be willing to face adversity with grace.
Absolutely. And that's what you do, and that's what you share in this book, right?
Yes, it's a personal journey of growing up in a single-parent household while going through poverty, and also monumental things that happened that were kind of delays, and explains more of my journey of why I did not play sports the last 3 years of high school, And it also explains more about things that relate to everyday people,
Yeah.
on how you deal with your mental health.
Absolutely. And that's why this book is for everyone and anyone, right?
Yes, it is. And so far, my book has been bought by some educators, like for kids who are seeking extra attention by acting out in class. They'll show them the book and say, "This is what Ethan went through.
Wow.
Now you can achieve what you need to achieve in the classroom." Because there's some kids that were just making a big deal about writing one paper, but when I show them I wrote over 200 pages in my autobiography, now they're going to be inspired to write maybe 3 papers.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then the educators can use this as a guide for the student athletes, that you can also transition from playing a sport. It can also be used as a guide for coaches to keep them inspired to want to keep coaching, because ultimately they do want to turn their student athletes into a productive member of society.
Yeah. How old were you again when the accident happened?
22.
Okay. All right. And how old are you now, Ethan?
I'm 35.
Okay, so that's been a while since then,
Yes.
right? And you've been through a lot. This, we also need to tell you, is self-published. How did that come about?
Long story short, there was a company that contacted me while I was in the middle of making my manuscript. I wanted to know what the contract looked like. I read over it. It seemed good on paper. And then they passed my questions part. But then the key part was, they said if I would have signed with them and they turned my story into a movie, they would own the lion's shares rights of that plus the soundtrack. And, well, I didn't align with my vision.
Okay.
But what ended up led me to being a self-publisher was learning from Chandler Bolt, the #1 self-publisher in the world. He invited me to his webinars twice, and we had conversations. He believed in my story, and he gave me the blueprint.
Okay.
Because by being a self-publisher, you take out the middleman of the publisher, gain more profits, you get to speak your own words, but essentially you do have to create your own team to have someone help edit, get your forewords, someone who could create the soft cover design, hard cover design, e-version, and eventually the audio version of the book.
Which will be coming.
Yes.
You're working on that.
Yes, it sure will be, because ultimately you have to copyright it, buy your own ISB numbers by the bulk, buy your barcodes by the bulk, and you have to make sure you have liability insurance.
Wow. You have learned a lot on this journey, with even just doing this book as well, haven't you?
Yes, because with any journey, I didn't do it alone. I learned from other people. Like, for example, there's a man named Dr. Todd Milley who has his own self-publishing company. There's a guy named Cy Emery who helped me along the way. He has his own self-publishing company. And there's a few other people I learned from how to get better with the grammar, because I wanted to make sure the book is perfected as possible.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of people that were coming and a part of your inner circle that were excited about being a part of this process with you, weren't they, Ethan?
Yes, because this is a different journey, because sure, they saw the newspaper, the television interviews, and then I would post them on the internet and share with the world. But when it comes to writing an autobiography, it's more, I gotta do the writing.
Yeah.
I have to orchestrate everything. And then when other people come in, they're contributing.
So it's a lot of like circles to intersect and bring together. You have to orchestrate a lot, right?
Yes, because when it comes to creating an autobiography as it relates to a car, you have to have those honest conversations with yourself. Because eventually, your car's going to come out of the mechanic shop better.
Yeah.
In my autobiography, after several rounds of editing and talking over every people, it came out better than what I envisioned.
Yeah. And with this book, where can we find it? Tell me all the places we can go to find it.
It's available print on demand through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Ingram Spark,
Okay.
and Red Rose Books here locally in Lancaster. Or you can buy the book directly from me at ethanspeaks.com, and I can mail it to you with a signature.
And you also have a social media presence too, don't you, Ethan?
Yes, my name is Ethan Poetic on LinkedIn, Instagram, my YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, and of course, TikTok.
Okay, so you know what? We can find you everywhere and anywhere, right?
Yes.
I have just watched you blossom from the years that we met you when you first came to work at the station to what you're doing now. And there's a word that comes to mind that we're going to talk in the next segment about it. But there's times that I truly feel you are fearless. And we're going to talk more about that right after this, so stay with us.
LCTV 66 is your community channel, and your donations keep us on the air and help to produce more local programs. Send your tax-deductible donation of $500, $100, or more to the address on the screen. Or think of it this way: for the price of a couple of movie tickets, you can help support your community channel. Send what you can and be a part of all that is good about Lancaster County. Thank you for your tax-deductible donation to LCTV 66, Lancaster's Connection.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We are talking to inspirational speaker and author Ethan Poetic about his book. And what we said before break was, in my mind, you seem fearless, and you were starting to make a comment about that.
The acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real, because sometimes someone's fearing something due to something that appears real, but the reality is that that situation you think is real has already been overcome, because this earth is at least 2,000 years old. Therefore, there's 2,000 years worth of information on how to overcome adversities, hardships, anxiety, stress, and any other health-related problems, or something we see in a vision, whether it's internal or external.
Okay. Well, you have done so well with presenting yourself. And you present yourself publicly through speaking and inspirational talks as well, correct? Right?
Yes, I do. With the help of Ron James, who is the CEO of the Choices Foundation, he has allowed me to share my story, but also inspire the youth inside the schools in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York, and soon to be other places in the United States. But I also do my own thing independently.
Okay. What I find really interesting, Ethan, is that when you get something in your mind that you want to do, you do it. Don't you?
It's about life's coming attraction. You have to see it before you do it.
All right.
It's like, for example, before I came on the show, you invited me on the show.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's about creating a plan, executing it, and believing in crossing the finish line, even with hurdles in life. Because as it relates to track, in order to cross the finish line, when you do the 100-meter or 300-meter hurdles, you have to go through those hurdles to cross the finish line. As it relates to life, you have to go through things because there's competition out there. You may not be the first person to cross the finish line, but what matters is that you get it done.
I think one thing that's at the center of who you are and what you do too is also your faith, right?
Yes. It's a matter of just believing in yourself, but also looking at the people you're surrounding yourself the most, because that's who you're likely to become influenced, blessed, or sometimes some people become jealous and try to dim your light. And you got to start distancing yourself from those people, because it's not good to carry dead weight or people that are not for you.
And sometimes that's hard to do, and sometimes it hangs on too long. But what has been one of the hardest hurdles for you, would you say, Ethan? Other than the obvious one in the very beginning.
I would say, as it relates to people, is growing up in a single-parent household and not having a consistent relationship with my biological father. That I go into more in the book, about the journey of, a situation he went through and repeat the cycle. At the same time, I also talk about the impact of growing up in a single-parent household. I'll give you a little snippet. Basically, it goes, the government back in the day was giving two different messages. They were telling the people of color, you can have these benefits, you can have your rights for two women, but you can't have a man living in the household. And that's what increased cohabitation. Now we have a lot of people playing house, but not actually being united as a family. But they were telling other people, you can have your man, have these benefits, have your rights, and go to college and further your education. And through those two different dynamics of two different messages, it shows that you have to turn to people in leadership, the elders who can read between the lines. Because as we see here in America, there are over 5 million homes that are single-parent households.
Mm-hmm.
And now a woman has to somewhat play the role of being a mom and a father, but that's not designed to be that way, because a woman can't be a man can't be a woman. But when they come together, now we put all the pieces to the puzzle together, and now we make it easier for kids. Okay. And ultimately, it's a matter of how I overcame those situations is through sports. That was my outlet.
Right.
Basically being around positive men, such as my coaches, such as Matt Ortega, Damian Henry, Coach Troy Richardson, Scott Feldman, Dr. Todd Milley, and many others. And I had to make a decision on, do I want to follow the path they're doing, or do I want to turn to a different path, which I already know is not good for me. I chose the path that was good for me, and now I have a more of an involved relationship with the coaches.
Yeah.
And they're inspired to show their current student athletes, this is the type of relationship I want. It's not about the victories, not about the achievements. I want to see you turn into a productive member of society and pay it forward.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow. This book, you have a lot of poetry in here.
Yes.
Is there any one piece that really sticks out that is something that you would like to perhaps read for us?
There's several pieces that stand out. There's one about my, unfortunate situation with my brother who passed away due to gun violence.
Okay.
Where I became the older brother overnight. Then there's also the poetry piece where I performed in the Puerto Rican parade in Lancaster City.
Uh-huh.
And then there's also talk about the journey of college. It also talks about multiple things, because I wanted to make sure that poetry was more, a variety of selection that would relate to as many people as possible.
Okay. Do you know where one of those may be?
Let me see.
Because this is your voice, and that's what this whole book is about. And it is inspirational to all of us in different capacities. And that's huge. That's huge.
I want to talk about one that's relatable. It's called You Have Earned Your College Degree.
All right.
College degrees are not given out. They are earned and worked for by taking the time to study and research information during all hours of the night and early morning, even when you feel like sleeping by laying your head on a pillow. There's no telling what your potential really is. The journey is part of your purpose. The path does not have a finish line. The everyday choices do add up. Figure out your major right away, skip the delay, just to keep everything moving. So many degrees to choose from, such as associates, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. Money is invested daily. Keep in mind by staying fully committed. College history started in Europe and evolved around the world. Applied knowledge is power. Education and experience get you so far in life. Stay true to yourself. Congratulations, you have earned your college degree.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Have you run into many of the doctors from back when the accident happened, and what their take and their feelings are about what you're doing with your life?
There was one guy, his name is Dr. Wortella. I stopped by his office maybe once in a blue moon, but I had to call and make an appointment. Okay. Not that he's checking me out, putting the thing to my heart.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember going to him and celebrate one of my anniversaries. I took a picture with him with the posters, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember this day."
Wow.
I had to leave what I was doing, show up to the Lancaster General Hospital, and do this emergency surgery.
Yeah.
And I ended up posting that picture on social media.
Okay.
Then there was another guy who was a nurse. I maybe contacted him through email. He ended up becoming more involved in the medical field by earning certifications. Yeah. And then when I do get a chance to go back to Lancaster General Hospital, it's more Okay, I remember this visiting room. I remember
Right.
being in this room. I remember just this area being here, present, when it comes to Lancaster rehabilitation on Good Drive. I haven't been allowed to come back in
Okay.
because, just I'm not a client there anymore, but I'm
Yeah.
allowed to just be on the outside and walk around
Yeah.
in the parking lot
Right.
and see from the outside looking in how things were.
Yeah. And how things are now.
Yes.
Okay. So you are available to give talks, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you're available to do book signings, which I know you have a lot of those coming up in the future. Who knows where this is going to go around the world, because this truly is inspirational. So once again, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. Where else can we find the book?
Kobo, Ingram Spark,
Okay.
and the audio version will be distributed through
Okay.
ACX, which will be available on Amazon,
Okay, good.
iTunes, and of course,
And if we just Google you, we'll find all kinds of things. So it's Ethan A Poetic.
yes.
Can you give us one final thought that you want to leave us with? Because this book is for everybody, and it's inspiration. It's taking your journey. Just give us a final thought, Ethan.
I put my mind, heart, and soul into this book. I was willing to put everything into it, make sure it came out the best as possible, because ultimately I realized my journey is bigger than me, because there's kids that look up to me, and it's not that I'm being like want to be present, replace somebody who's missing a certain part of life. It's just they see something in me that I may have saw in them.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when I'm in the public eye, sometimes it happens where they want to take a picture with me, or if I'm working as a teacher assistant or paracare professional, all of a sudden, all these kids start grabbing me by the leg for a hug, want that
Yeah.
undivided attention, want some advice on teachable moments. And, it's more just letting them know that everything's going to be all right and you're not alone.
Yeah. That's the key, isn't it? Everything's going to be all right. You're not alone.
Because as it takes a village to raise a child, it also takes a village to maintain success in life.
Yeah.
And with the help of social media, my message can help save somebody.
Yeah. And we are so glad that you did what you did, and you're sharing your story, and that you're here to do all of this. Who knows what the next story is going to be that you write. Thank you so much for being here, Ethan. Thanks for being who you are. And thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.